Okay, so Stalker came out as a new boss, and a lot of you have been extremely curious about their stats regarding damage reduction, crit resist, so that way you could try and figure out exactly what build would be better for your given characters once you knew the crit breakpoints, especially with these new critless mods. So I took the time to test out Stalker's DR and crit resistance, along with Gluttony actually, because believe it or not, Gluttony has had his crit resistance changed. Real quick though, if you are not familiar with boss damage reduction, boss crit resists, or unique weak point modifiers per body part, then please go watch the videos I have listed on screen for a much better understanding of what the fuck is going on there, because I am not repeating those explanations here. First up to talk about is Stalker though. In terms of DR, once again, TFT Tools does not bother to work out any more accurate values than they have in the past. Please do not use their resistance values. Weapon, non-attribute, and fire damage reduction all come out with equal resistance, with electric being the winner here, and chill getting shafted with toxin being left in the dirt. For weak point modifier bonuses, the balancer comes out at a 0.25, with the core and sensor at 0.375, which actually surprised me because Gluttony's core was 0.25, and I thought it would be the same. And then the back is a 0.5 bonus. That said, the back is pure shit to try and aim for, so unless they're holding perfectly still, please do not even try to aim for that. You're better off aiming for the core, given how much this piece of shit strays around the arena. On crit resistance for guns, we come out to just 30%, which is more than solo bosses by a hair, but not by much. It's not even a huge deal. On skill crit, though, we come out to a whopping fucking 70% skill crit resistance, which is now the highest crit resistance on any enemy in the entire game. And yes, Gluttony was supposedly 80% in the past, but no longer, and we'll talk about that in a second, because I want to stress how important it is to be aware of this first, because it changes how you'll be building your characters in future bosses that have as high or higher crit resistance. Right now on solo bosses, Lepic is pretty uncontested on his crit build. I had a shitload of comments on my recent zero crit videos, and guys, the answer is no. You should keep building Lepic for crit. Please do not use zero crit mods on him unless you're going up against a boss that has more than about, I want to say it was 53% skill crit resist. So in this case, Gluttony, or now Stalker. As after the boss cuts your crit percent with that hefty fucking multiplier, you are going to be losing damage on the crit build. This isn't strictly applicable to every single character, but right now most every 15% base crit character is better off critless after reaching Gluttony, without some kind of support bonus crit factor to boost you with, and even then. But what about Gluttony? Gluttony's elemental resistances are identical to before, which actually surprised me, so the nerf was mainly to his health. But a suspected nerf, after testing his crit res out myself, is before, based on Surreal's testing, we saw a skill crit resistance of 80% and a gun crit resistance of 50%. Now, however, we see a sharp cut on the skill crit resistance all the way down to 60%, and a cut on gun crit resistance all the way down to 30%. I say suspected nerf because Gluttony was the only boss I didn't check crit resistance on personally before, because Surreal had already checked it. So I can't confirm Surreal's data was completely accurate at the time, but given that his data for Devourer matched mine exactly, I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that Gluttony's crit resistance was indeed at that point before, but it took a huge cut to be brought in line with Stalker's release, since it'd be kind of weird if Stalker had values lower than Gluttony. This was really just meant to be a quick update to get the info out there. Things can obviously change very quickly in the future though, kind of like how Pyro had his defense cut in half pretty recently. So if you're ever curious about resistances, defense, or crit resistance in the future, just go to my site and I will have kept up on the data there. And again, since I don't run any advertisements, you have no excuse not to just use it as a reference going forward.